Hello, my math independent study students. In this video, we are going to learn how to translate English expression into the language of mathematics. Let's begin. A variable is a letter used to represent any number from a given set of numbers. Okay, next, a constant is a fixed number. Or a letter used to represent a fixed number. Okay, now we know what is a variable and what is a constant. Next, we are going to write down these four operations plus in English we can call sum minus in English we are going to call subtract or differences. So there are many ways to talk about the subtraction differences. Let's go ahead and list one, okay? And then multiplication, we use it, or you can do a dot, will be called product. And the last operation will be division. We are called quotient. Okay, so let's start with the example now. The sum, so if in English we say the sum of 3 and 5. Now let's translate this English sentence into the language of mathematics. It will be 3 plus 5. Next, the product of 2 and 4. Now we are going to translate this English sentence into the language of mathematics. Will be 2 times 4. Or you can use like this. Next, the quotient of x and 6. So let's translate this English sentence into the language of mathematics. Will be x divided by 6, or you can do x divided by 6. Okay. Let's do one more example. The differences of 8 and 2. Now let's translate this English sentence into the language of mathematics. 8 subtract 2. Okay, now let's write down the summary for this video. In this video, we learned to translate English expression into the language of mathematics. Good night, my math independent study students. I will see you in class. Good night. Let's see if I can list all your names, okay? Good night, Melissa. Good night, Rosie. Good night, Mr. Hernandez. Good night, Josh. Good night, Rick. Good night, Leslie. Good night, Myra. Good night, Raimundo. Good night, Syria. Good night, Darling. Good night, Katia. Good night, John Paul. Good night, Miss Gonzalez. Good night, Victor. Good night, Miguel. Good night, Zulema. Good night, Mariori. Good night, Miguel again in Group A. Good night, Tiffany. Good night, myself. Good night, Brandon. And good night, Juan. I see you in class. Good night, good night, good night.